And Anthony obviously getting the opening goal. I mean, it takes a bounce, whatever works. I mean, must feel pretty good in a place that you used to be.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you score a goal in the playoffs, it's a pretty good feeling, and that was huge for us to get the first one, and yeah, we handled it pretty well the rest of the game, so that was good on us.
Philip, the first game, just a couple shots for you, but then in that second period, you get that goal. What did you see on that play, and how did that change the momentum for you guys?
I mean, I think it changed it a little bit. Obviously, they were pushing, and Bo's goal obviously got us going in the first, and then it was a little bit of a back and forth rest of the period, and then second period was good to get that cushion goal a little bit, but it was great forecheck. Obviously, Gus is battling and kind of got a little more time than I thought originally, and I just tried to be patient, and it was a nice goal.
And obviously, not the game plan necessarily to just like play defense all third period, but were you able to find like a little bit of rhythm in doing that, playing in front of Juice like that?
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it's they got a really good team over there, and they're making really good things happen. And we defended well, but like you said, the third period is definitely not a recipe that we necessarily want to repeat for the whole series. But at the same time, they're doing a lot of good things. So you got to give them credit. They're a great team, and but at the end of the day, like I touched on earlier, I think the sacrifice and the shot blocking was the reason, and phenomenal goaltending as well.
Bo, for you coming in here, coming to Nashville, I mean, how comfortable was it for you after bouncing around a little bit to come to a team? Barry's here, and how much of him being here has made it a good fit for you?
As much as who at the end?
For Barry Trotz being with the Predators.
Yeah, he made it super easy for me. Obviously, getting a call from him as soon as the trade happened, and making sure everything was okay with me and my family, and it's always easier when you come to a place with familiar faces, and he made the transition really easy for me, and yeah.
You went through the playoff wars with him on the island. Are there certain guys that maybe have that ability to raise their game in the playoffs? You know, I think your points per game is a tenth of a point higher in the postseason. You had some huge games in the playoffs on the island. Big game tonight with a goal and an assist.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when playoffs comes around, it's always easier to wake up, easier to get motivated and get going. You play for, it feels like you play for something bigger than yourself, and yeah, I mean you can look at that, but at the end of the day, like I said, it's easier to wake up and get motivated for games like that.
Anthony, given what you had been through the last couple years, trying to kind of find your game a little bit, and then this season with Chicago, playoffs probably weren't on their radar. What had you been thinking of a moment like this, that this might be a possibility just to get a chance again?
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to be on three great organizations this year, starting here and then bounce to Chicago, and that's what you live for. That's why you play hockey. You want to compete for the Stanley Cup and play meaningful hockey. And very fortunate to be here. Very happy to be with this group of guys. And transition's been super easy. I mean, it's a great group that we have, and I'm happy to be here and happy to compete in the playoffs.
Anthony, en français, si tu peux décrire un peu l'opportunité qu'il y a devant toi de relancer ta carrière avec les Prédateurs, lui donner un nouveau souffle, puis à quel point ça fait du bien d'en avoir marqué un contre les Canucks.
Ouais, ben c'est de pouvoir participer aux séries éliminatoires, c'est sûr que c'est toujours spécial, puis de jouer contre une ancienne équipe aussi, ça met un petit edge de plus. Mais je me compte chanceux de pouvoir, avec une saison comme j'ai eu, de pouvoir compétitionner dans les séries, puis d'avoir une chance de peut-être au bout de la ligne soulever la coupe.
Philip, you guys blocked 34 shots tonight. I mean, the sacrifices were unbelievable. How do you see taking away the space from them, taking away the lanes, but also 5-on-5? How do you think the series has gone 5-on-5 for you guys?
I think it's like I said. I think it's been fairly even. Maybe they've had a little more zone time. I think that's something that we can definitely work on a little bit better, getting a little bit more offensive zone time. But at the same time, I think we're doing a pretty good job keeping them on the outside. There's been the goals obviously have been kind of shots through from the point, and one was tipped in. I think the one even today hit one of our guys. Unfortunately, but the sacrifice is there too. Like that one was a great try for the blocking, and I think we're doing a pretty good job at that. But like I said earlier, they got some guys they can hurt you if you give them too much time. So I think maybe a little bit advantage to them 5-on-5. But like I said, we're we're learning every game. We got a lot of experienced guys and a lot of guys that are just getting taste of playoffs. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely going to be a long series, and we're trying to learn a little bit every game. And I thought today was a good step from first game. And yeah, now a couple of days to regroup and go back to Nashville and try to do it again.
Where do you think this game was won for you tonight? The way that the shots were and the way that you guys blocked so many shots.
Where was the game won? I think it was won in the second period. And I thought the third period we were committed to the pain. And I think something that maybe game one we learned from a little bit. Maybe weren't quite as committed to the pain. I thought in tonight with the block shots and the things that we did, sacrificing our body, so we learned. And we're still growing. We're not where we want to be, but we're getting better. And today was a good step.
A bit of an unconventional third period there. I mean, it just seemed like you couldn't get the puck back to create any transition. I mean, what are the conversations like on the bench from your perspective to the guys to try to get something going and get out of your own zone?
Well, I mean, they want to win too, and I think they were desperate. Maybe, we got on our heels a little bit. Thought we had some pretty good shifts here and there, but we put a game away, and it wasn't always going to be pretty. It's going to be muddy. Game one was the same thing. It's a muddy game, and they do a good job in defending and in-your-face kind of hockey. And we're going to have shifts. We're going to have time in our own zone. It's not going to be perfect. I think we have some work to do a little bit, but at the same time, growth for our group for a game like this, because it's not going to be pretty. I think every game is going to be kind of like this, and it was good for us to feel it a little bit. And I think game one, even though you lost that little stretch of 12 seconds, I think it was good for us, because I think it's showing us that we need a little bit more, and we got a little bit more tonight, so that's a step.
You look at Alex Carrier, smaller build, not necessarily, built for the playoffs, you would think, and yet, all those block shots tonight, effective on the PK. What exactly makes him a defenseman built for the playoffs?
Well, I think he is built for the playoffs. I don't care how big you are. I mean, if you compete like he competes and puts his body on the line, and he's mobile and he's a highly competitive kid. So somebody would say that I totally disagree. He is actually really built for the playoffs. Yeah.
When Barry says to you, you're looking at the trade deadline and you're going to bring in Anthony Beauvillier, you might not know him. How much trust do you have to put in Barry that he knows the guy, he coached him, he knows you'll find a fit for him?
Well, he's my boss. I can't really say no. No, obviously we have conversations, and I played. I didn't play, but I coached against Bo enough, and we were in the bubble. We played in the playoffs against him, and he was really good, really effective. So I had a feel. I know his game a little bit, and it was a hard transition for him, because I think coming in here, we were kind of rolling, and we were trying to fit him in a little bit, and you kind of didn't want to break up different lines, so you kind of tried to get him in to get accustomed to the way we play. It's a little different. It's a little uncomfortable. So I think it took him a little while. But I thought he had a great response tonight. To get that secondary scoring for us was huge.
Coach, you've been using Michael McCarron's line a lot against JT Miller, Brock Besser. I mean, that's a 100-point guy, a 40-goal scorer. What have you liked about that matchup? Why has it been something, I don't know that you're chasing it, you're on the road, but why has it been something you're comfortable with?
Well, I think they've been a big part of our identity. When they're on their game, their forecheck and they're on pucks are heavy. And I can trust them against anybody, and they've proven that for 40 games. So you're not chasing a matchup. You just feel comfortable when they're on the ice against pretty much anybody. We've used them against top guys all through the stretch, and they seem to relish it and cherish it. And like I said, they're a big part of who we are.
You talked about being committed to the pain. How important is it for your group to understand that, just given sort of where you're at as a team, sort of the season you've had? How important is it to sort of have that drill down in your group?
I think we've got a great leadership group that have been through some things, and we've got some young guys that haven't. And that's why I kind of mentioned game one. It was good for us to see that wasn't enough. And you kind of think it's enough. Maybe it's enough in the regular season, but this is a different animal. And I think some of our young guys or some of the inexperienced guys will get better as we go. But I think today was a good eye opener how hard it is and how much you have to be willing to sacrifice to move on here.
You go home with a win. You're going home to play 2 games at home. What's the point of emphasis for your guys in terms of what the focus is in terms of managing everything going home?
I think we got some things we got to work on. I think we can be a little bit better with the puck. I think we're not contesting pucks quite at the same level that we normally do. And when we don't have the puck and we're not connected in the offensive zone, we're going to defend more. And I don't like defending, but it was good for our group to understand, because we're going to have to. There's going to be stretches in the game where you're going to get hemmed in. Feel comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think for our group, that's a great learning experience. But I think we need to be a little bit better, and credit to them. They're doing a great job in the D zone. And there's lots going on, and we just need to be a little firmer, a little bit more connected, a little harder on pucks than we have been, because we want to play down there. We don't want to defend.
Filip, only a couple shots in game 1, and then early on in this one, it's not kind of the same thing. But then he gets that spark in the second, gets that goal. Is that the kind of Filip Forsberg you guys need?
Yeah, it was a huge goal, big time. Pretty sick hands and tight, and doing what he does. He's done all year. It's hard. I mean, they're that line. They're checked pretty tightly. Space is a minimal. So hopefully, to get that big goal. But again, that secondary scoring really kind of alleviates some of the pressure they feel nightly. And I think Phil will get better. I think a lot of our guys will get better here as we get going.